Okay, so we're covering the 3 zones of wrestling. So there's 3 different zones in terms of how far away from my opponent I am. And in each of those zones, the rules are a little different. Rules in sense, not the rules of the sport, but the rules in terms of technique, right? So when we're at a distance, right? So we've got some distance, we're not actually touching each other. Really the way that the takedown game is played here is with motion and fakes and getting my opponent to react or to reach, right? So I'm going to be moving, faking, right? Maybe I'm reaching for him and getting him to reach for me and dropping underneath, right? I'm trying to get him to react to a fake, right? And that's the way that I'm going to be trying to get my opponent off balance or in a bad position when we're in that first zone. And that really relies on a lot of quickness and athletic ability. It's not a zone that I played in much when I was a wrestler, but it's very effective for people who are good at it. The next zone is really in the hand fighting zone. And this would be hand fighting in the no-gi, and the gi would be grip fighting. But the idea here is that I'm using my hands to move my opponent, right, to off balance him. I'm also using my feet and my head, boom, to get him in bad position. And really I'm trying to do a couple of different things there, right? I want to get him leaning forward. I want to get some sort of an angle on him. I want to get him stepping hard. If I can get him to take a hard step, right? Those are all the different kinds of things that I want to do to off-balance my opponent. But again, I'm using heavy hands and footwork and head position to move my opponent around so that I can take a shot, right? And so just like the rules from the first zone are a little different than they are in the second zone, the rules in the third zone are also different, right? So when we get into this third zone, we're in this clinch position, right? So here, really in this position, it's less about hand fighting or head fighting, it's a lot more about hip fighting. So a lot of this is about fighting with my hips, trying to control my opponent with my hips. So again, we got those 3 different zones where the takedown game is played, and in each of those zones, the rules around what works, what we're trying to accomplish, what we're trying to prevent are different. And so, depending on where you're at, you have to know what rules you're playing by.